Good morning again. Sharp-eyed people may notice haircut, shave, feel a bit better for it as well. I don't know what it was, but it seems to be if you're a man and you have a good shave and you have your haircut, you always seem to feel a little bit better afterwards. I think any of the germs I had were kind of harvested in my well, very overgrown stubble and my hair as well. Usually I do like to keep it sort of nicely trimmed, but anyway, feeling better today. And yeah, it's another day after the YouTube saga. It seems to be reading around the internet that I think people have kind of accepted now that that is their fate and YouTube aren't going to do a U-turn as far as we're aware. I think YouTube have made their mind up and they're not going to do anything about it, which I think is the right decision. Looking in further detail at it, I think it is the right thing to do, whether we agree with it or not. You know, this is how it's going to be going forward, and at least it gives people something to strive for. You know, that 1,000 subscribers, it seems like a mile away, but if you think about, like, in your job, you know, if there's something you wanted to do in your career, like you wanted to get to a certain position in the company that you work for, or whatever you want, you know, you wanted there was a job in your organisation that you wanted to go for, and you worked hard for it, and it seemed like there was an everlasting mountain to climb, and you finally got there. It's the kind of the same thing. You know, if you want the whole monetization thing, then you've got to work hard for it, and I don't think that's what YouTube are trying to say, but in a subliminal way, if you like, that's what they're trying to do. So yeah, it's not going to go away, and there's a lot of people still moaning about it. But I watched a video from one of the guys who subscribed to Dave Cryer on Geekanoids. I will link that video. It's a fantastic video. It's well over half an hour long, but it was really, really well done, well presented, and you know, the arguments for and against were kind of well rationalised, which I thought was really, really good. So Dave's been in the game a long, long time, and you can learn a lot from him. Listen to what he has to say if you're a small YouTuber. Watch that video that I link in the description and see what he has to say. It's a really, really good video, and it's very insightful, and it tells you a bit about his backstory and how he got to where he is today. So anyway, I've got to thinking, after yesterday's video, I kind of thought, is it worthwhile maybe doing a few hints and tips videos for small creators, maybe those just starting out, for example, who may not really know what they're doing. I mean, when I first started, wow, this puddle is incredible. Sorry. Wow. Whoa. My auto wipers just went crazy. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of small YouTubers out there who may not necessarily know what they're doing straight from the off, and may not even have the right equipment to do the job, or know what equipment to buy. So I thought maybe I could do a couple of small tip videos for small YouTubers, which will just stay on YouTube then forevermore, because obviously there's always going to be somebody who wants to start this kind of thing and may not have a clue what they're doing. I'm not saying I'm an expert, certainly not, but I've learned enough in the last 12 months to understand what kind of kit you need and what it is you'll need to do to make sure that you don't end up, you know, overdoing it, if you like, because there's that old saying, you need to walk before you learn to run, or you need to learn to walk before you can run, and that is so true. It's the same type of mentality will exist on YouTube as well. You've got to make sure that you gradually build up to what you want to be. I'm as guilty as any for, you know, kind of not doing that, but I did study, I did film studies for quite some time in college many, many years ago, and I learned a lot of things like video editing and the basic principles of getting the right shot and things like that. So a lot of the videos you see of mine, you might think, well, wow, he's doing all these videos, which aren't amazing, don't get me wrong, but you may see that kind of style early on in my videos. But that is just me, that's how I adopt things, and that's fine. I'm not the only person who's done a YouTube channel to kind of get into that kind of B-roll or cinematic style, if you like, videos straight off. So it's, again, I think some tip videos on what you should and shouldn't do, what you should and shouldn't buy, might be helpful. So I suppose in this video, I suppose the first thing I should say is don't go out and rush out and buy the very best camera that you think you should have. The reason being is that nobody's really going to care that much on a small channel about the quality, as long as the image quality is acceptable and you can kind of see the person who's talking, and if you've got a product in front of you, you can see that fairly well, then that's fine. A phone will suffice. Your phone is your best friend when it comes to things like that, because most phone cameras now are of good to excellent standard. There's not a great deal of phones out there now with absolutely terrible cameras, you know, with the exception of the cheap Chinese OEMs with their fake dual cameras or what have you. There's a lot of good phones out there. You know, a really good one which I can think of just springs to mind, the Moto G5 Plus. It's a great phone, very inexpensive, has a decent camera. It's not amazing, but it's a decent camera. It does very acceptable 1080p video with good autofocus, and that's all you need. What you should then think about is getting a small tripod. You can get these small mini tripods that you may have seen with the sort of bendy legs, where you can get bend into place and get the camera angle just right. So if you can't afford a full-blown tripod, then invest in one of those, because it means if you've got a table like your kitchen table, you can turn the table lengthways, sit at one end of the table, and then put your little tripod with your camera at the other end, and that will be fine. If you want to do presenting to camera, then that's cool. Microphone, most phone microphones, this one I'm speaking into now, it's absolutely fine, although if you listen very carefully, there's a strange buzzing sound, which I think there's something stuck in one of the microphones in the bottom, probably a bit of fluff, which is causing a bit of vibration, which is that buzzing sound you can hear very, very faintly in the background. So yeah, the microphone on your phone, most phones have stereo microphones as well, so you can kind of get a bit of spatial awareness as well, which is cool. If you've got an iPhone, they come with a mono microphone, but you can buy professional stereo microphones, which the iPhone will accept, and you can use those instead. As far as editing software goes, no, I'll skip editing a minute, lighting. So I think my advice to anybody who's starting their channel and is serious about getting into it is, if you have the means, then do invest in a proper softbox light. Something I regret not doing at the very start, because the worst thing that can happen is you've got a product that you want to review. It could be just an old phone of yours, just to get started, just to showcase your reviewing style. But when you get into any kind of twilight lighting in your home, no matter how big your windows are and how much light they let in, as soon as you switch that camera on and you're casting your shadow over that product, the lighting is going to be so important. If you go on Amazon, I'm just using Amazon as an example, they have a great selection of cheap softbox or LED lights, which you can just use just to light up the area where you're unboxing your product or you're showcasing whatever you're doing. You could be baking a cake, you could be doing whatever. Then at least you've got light on the area, whereas if you're relying on natural light, which may fail towards the end of the day, even in the summer, the light obviously where the sun sort of finishes off and sets in different parts of the sky, then you're going to get shadows created inside, which creates just basically a big black hole, and it gets very, very difficult to light up that area. You can't really rely on the phone flash, because that is very concentrated and it looks like too much like a torch. So one thing I would say is, if you can afford it, then buy yourself a good, well, I say a good light, just go on Amazon, look for maybe a 4 or 5 star. 4 star is still good, it doesn't have to be 5 star, 4 star is good. 4 star light, and then you can light up the area, and then you're pretty much set if you want to go. So fundamental principles, if you can't afford a camera, use the one you've already got. The one in your pocket, they say, is sometimes the best camera that you've got, the smartphone camera. It's got a built-in microphone, so you're set with that, and then buy yourself a light and get yourself a little mini tripod. If you can stretch to it, Amazon do a really good Amazon Basics tripod. I use it. It's okay. It's not the most flexible tripod, but it does the job, and it, you know, with a bit of work and a bit of perseverance, you can get some good shots with it. So that's cool. So the next thing then is your editing software. So this is a bit of a tricky one, because there's so many different editing tools out there, and depending on what operating system that you're using, there's different choices. So you've got, on the Windows side, 2 of them which I've used, which I found to be excellent and relatively inexpensive considering how much use you'll get out of them. You've got Power Director, which is a really, really fully featured video editing tool. It can be a little bit daunting for beginners, but as with anything, practice makes perfect. They do have modes on there for beginners, so it guides you through the edit, and it helps you get to the finished product. As your confidence grows, you can then start moving up through the intermediate and then the expert level editing, so you can really fine tune and add some editing effects like fading, and you can even do color correction on your pictures. But you know, that's jumping the gun a bit. That's something you can look at later on when you've established yourself on your channel. So then we've got probably the most well-known of editing software is the Adobe software suite. So there's two different Adobe editing software packages. Now the one which would probably suit small YouTubers best, or beginners, is Adobe Premiere Elements. So the current one I think is Adobe Premiere Elements 18 now. I have 17 installed on my computer at home, as well as Adobe Premiere Pro, which I'll come on to in a moment. The reason I have the two of them is because I flick between the two depending on what project I'm working on. So something like this, where I'm just talking to the camera, is a relatively simple video. I will actually just use Premiere Elements, because you can just go in, you can just do a quick edit, and there's no messing about with all of the big windows you get on the screen with Premiere Pro. It's a very good tool. The rendering time is not the fastest, that's what I find. It's a Windows thing, I think. It's typically because there's so many different Windows computers and laptops. It's very hard for Adobe to tailor-make the software to the actual machine you're working on, so you find the rendering time is a little bit long. But perseverance reaps the rewards. It's a great tool, and it's very, very easy to use once you get the hang of it. And again, like Power Director, it's got different modes to guide you. So you've got guided, you've got easy, you've then got live, and then you've got expert, which is where you can really fine tune your edits. So then you've got Premiere Pro. Now Premiere Pro is, you might have seen it on other YouTube videos. Again, another channel which I really enjoy and really showcases how you can use Premiere Pro to your advantage is Peter McKinnon. It's a channel I stumbled upon over the last 6 months, and the guy is an absolute genius. He can really show you how to use Premiere Pro to its full capability in a very easy to understand way. And again, I'll link his channel into the description. You can go and see for yourself. It just goes to show, with a bit of creativity, what you can achieve with the Premiere Pro software. It is very daunting. The first time you switch it on, you're basically staring at a black screen with lots of windows and lots of tiny bits of text, depending on what size monitor you've got, and a bewildering array of icons and menus. So it does take some perseverance. I mean, I've got used to it now, but it's a very, very in-depth program. You can do pretty much anything with it. You know, one of the things with Premiere Pro is the color correction. It really is pro grade, and you can, if you shoot in a flat, flat format, they say, or raw, as they say, or if you shoot your film as flat as possible, i.e. no effects added, you just shoot it as it is in good lighting, you can pretty much play around with the picture and get the effect that you want. Even if you underexpose the picture, you can still get the results you want by basically color correcting the photo and bringing that brightness back, so that's cool. Then if you're using an Apple Mac, you still get Premiere Pro, you can get Elements for that, and that's fine. But the holy grail for video editing on the Apple Mac is Final Cut Pro, and I've seen this working. It is a really amazing tool, it really is. Very similar to Premiere Pro in the effects that it gives you, but the biggest thing with it, and this really is brilliant for productivity, so if you've got a lot of projects on the go, is the rendering and export times. So I'll give you an example. Let's say 10 to 12 minute video done on Premiere Elements on a Windows machine. This is just on a, let's just say it's got, I don't know, 8 gigabytes of RAM, you've got an Intel or AMD processor, and you've got your graphics card. So because Premiere Elements doesn't generally rely on your graphics card unless you've got one that supports CUDA cores, I won't go into that in too much detail, but you can read it up on Google, CUDA, CUDA. Then it relies on the processor. So Intel processors are favoured for Adobe because it can process quicker. That export will probably take about 20 minutes. And now 20 minutes, you can either go and make another video, or you can do washing up, shower, eat food, take your dog for a walk, whatever. And that basically then that's 20 minutes. You can't do anything else with editing. You just have to wait for it. You can do other stuff with a computer, but the likelihood is while it's rendering, it is going to slow things down. With a Mac, the rendering and export takes about 5 minutes. It's like some sort of magic is happening, some voodoo. It's because Final Cut is Apple software, so they've tailored the experience to the hardware. So obviously it can be accelerated to the hardware, and that's why it's so quick. So if you've got a Mac, that's something you should consider, although it's a little bit pricey. But the thing is, you get what you pay for, and that's going to last you for years, and it's a really great tool. So yeah, that's the editing side of things. What I will do is I will produce a video for you small startups showing the basics of video editing and how easy it can be and how you can plan your videos so when it comes to editing it's as easy as possible. A quick preview of that is, and this is something I told one of my friends on Twitter. I can call him a friend, he seems like a friend to me, he's a great guy. So it's Ben from the Lover of Tech channel, and one thing I did say to him was is always ensure that you label your footage once you export it. So what I mean by that is you should always write a treatment or a script. So you need to plan out what you need to do. You can't just go into a video blind. You need to plan out what you're going to do with a video. Now, to help me do that, if I'm doing a video, for example, where it's just me narrating and it's all the product in a series of shot sequences, then I do a script. So basically I'll just do a few bullet points first of all. So if it's a phone, then I'll look at the screen, the build quality, I/O, so I/O means the port, so charging, headphone jack, things like that, speaker. Then I'll go into things like software, then the camera, then I'll break it down to camera quality, video quality, user experience, etc. And I'll bullet point all of that, and then what I'll do is I'll elaborate on that by making it into paragraphs of a script, into something that hopefully sounds interesting. So I'm not saying you have to be the best voice actor in the world, but you do need to add a bit of your personality into there so you just don't sound like a robot. And one tip for doing that is to stand up and do the narration that way. Don't sit down, stand up and do it, and hold the piece of paper in front of you when you're reading the script as if you're speaking to an audience. That way it sounds a bit more natural, rather than if you sit down and you look at the piece of paper, it's basically as if you're reading to somebody. Remember when you were a kid and you read to your mum or dad when you were reading a bedtime story? Then that's what's going to happen. You're going to sound like very robotic. Whereas if you stand up, hold the paper in front of you and read it as if you're reading to an audience, it's going to sound much more presentable. So once you've done your script, the best way to do it is do your script in stages. So you do your first paragraph, or first paragraph to your script, stop, next recording, second paragraph, next recording, third paragraph, etc, etc, until you get to the end. And then when you've got all your shots, you need to label your shots so they fit into the script. So if you do the first part of the script where it's just basically a fly around with your camera of the dimensions of the phone, so it could be the front, the back, what have you, then you basically label that. So you basically do walk around shot of phone, and then when you're talking about the screen, label the video shots of the screen as screenshots. And the best thing is always record more B-roll. B-roll is what you see. So A-roll is you talking if you're going to go in front of the camera. B-roll is the bits you cut to when you're showing the product. If you're going to show all the product, then it's not B-roll, it's just all A-roll. So basically you then name the footage and match it to your script. So you basically, it's like Lego. You then drop everything one on top of the other as you're editing. So as you go along, there's your first part of the sequence, and you drop the shots underneath. Then you've got your voiceover too, and then you match it down. And what you need to do is trim everything so it all fits in together. Hopefully at the end of that you end up with a pretty nicely produced video, which again, it doesn't have to look really professional to start with, but the one thing I found so important was adding some structure to the production process. When it comes to editing, it is your best friend. Planning, make sure that your editing is as easy as possible. There's nothing worse than working really hard on your creation only to be sat at your computer editing for 5 to 6 hours. There's nothing more soul destroying, because the longer you sit there, and there's one thing this will happen to you, the longer that you sit there, your attention will start to wane. You'll find yourself looking at other things to do, like reading Twitter on your phone or reading the internet on your phone. You'll probably get a bit fed up. So you need to make sure that you plan your shots, make sure you label everything, and then you can just tweak everything in the edit stage. editing a video should only take 2 to 3 hours maximum, and then the rendering time is after that. I mean, absolute maximum as well. I can usually, if I plan my video, I can usually edit it all in an hour. It's really, really simple, providing you get everything right the first time. The key thing is always record more material than you need if you're going to do fancy shots, because you can always chop and change later on. So that's it. So anyway, I've rambled on a bit longer than I wanted to, but that's basically the process. The production and the presenting style is all things that you are going to improve on as you go along. Don't try and be perfect straight away, as I said in my last video. Don't try and be the expert immediately. It's not going to happen. You will find you'll find your style and the way you want to work as time goes on, and you'll settle into a rhythm, and that's how it's going to be. And don't forget to inject your personality into it. Be yourself, and that's it, because people will come back to you. It's like your friends like you because you're you, so your viewers are probably going to be the same. So again, you're the presenter, it's your show, you basically make it about you and your product, and don't try and copy anyone else, as I said in yesterday's video. So thinking about anything else, one thing is music. A lot of people always ask me, where do you get your music from? This truck's trying to cut me up here. Right, okay. Benefit of a diesel car, big torquey engine, just sailing away in 6th gear. Anyway, right. So yeah, music. So a couple of people have asked me, where do you get your music from? Who is this you're using? So there's a variety of options that you can use. Now, one of the most popular ones is a site called Epidemic Sound. Now, Epidemic Sound is a company that offers copyright-free music. Wow, this Tesla is flying. I wish you could see this. Wow. Yeah, so they use Epidemic Sound is a database of copyright-free. Well, so I say copyright-free music. It's royalty-free music. So there's lots of what we'd say freelance musicians who will provide their services to Epidemic Sound and release their tracks on there. There is a huge catalogue of music. It is in the millions. It's not in the millions, no, it's actually less than that. I'm thinking of things like Spotify. But anyway, there's an enormous amount of tracks on it, way into the tens of thousands at least. And there's always something you can find to go with your videos. If you want to funk it up a little bit, then look at SoundCloud. SoundCloud has a huge tapestry of up-and-coming artists who are happy for you to use their songs as long as you credit them in the description box of your YouTube video. Some of them may ask you to buy their music. Now, when I say buy it, usually it's from Bandcamp, and the purchase is very, very small. I'm talking £15 for an entire back catalogue of music. And for that, you get hundreds of tracks and a lot of good stuff as well. It might take a little bit of scouring, but it's well worth doing. It really, really is, because there's some absolute gems on there. One of the artists that I use quite a lot is Brock Berrigan. Now, if you've ever watched any of Unbox Therapy's videos, it's likely that you've heard a lot of Brock Berrigan's music. It is featured quite heavily. I'd heard of Brock Berrigan before Unbox Therapy, but it kind of made it more relevant when I heard it in his videos, and I could see how it could be used. Because the music, I'm not sure if he intended this, but the music that he makes is very chill hop, is what they call it. It's not quite hip hop. It's the same kind of beats, but he adds in lots of samples and things like that, and it's absolutely excellent. If you watch some of my videos, you'll hear some of the music in that. But yeah, he is one of my most favourite artists for using music. So that's something you could consider, SoundCloud. Or you may just decide not to go with any music at all. You might just prefer the silence. Not every viewer likes the music bed, if you like, playing underneath your voice. So again, that's something that you need to consider. But try it, suck it and see what happens, because your viewers will tell you what they like and what they dislike. So that's something that you need to consider. So yeah, that's it. And then the rest you can then fine-tune later on. You need to sort of learn how to make sure you get your description right. Your description is very, very important. You need to make sure that you put as much in your description as possible to tell people about your video, because YouTube gets its metadata from there. It searches through your description and your title and other things as well, and that's how the data is then fed into search engines. So you can read up on that in a bit more detail just by Googling it. It'll tell you how the YouTube algorithm works. So that's basically it for today's video. I've gone on a bit longer than I expected to, but hey, I want to make this a daily thing as much as I can, to just sort of talk to you guys, the smaller YouTubers, about how I work and how I do my videos, and how I may be able to help you, as well as other small YouTube creators or big YouTube creators, ones who are willing to tell you about their experience and how they've got to where they are today. So yeah, I will definitely do a sort of how-to on the basics of video editing, so you can see how it all works, and you can put together a nice looking video with some cool edits that is pleasing to watch, rather than you having to worry about doing everything in one whole take, because that is something that you will do to start with, and that's fine, because no one's going to expect you to be a video editing expert straight from the bat. But yeah, I will do some tip videos, if you like, for small YouTubers, just to kind of show you how it all works, and kind of break it down, so shot composition and things like that, just so you get everything in the center of the frame, so when you move the product around, you don't lose anything. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to do. I've stopped now in the car park in Sainsbury's, but yeah, if there's something that you want to see and you think it would be beneficial, then by all means leave me a comment and I'll see what I can do. But it's something I do want to help people with, share my experience. This whole small YouTuber thing has become quite relevant recently. There's a whole Twitter handle for it. There's the YouTube forum, YT forum it's called, and they're big on the small YouTuber thing. So it's to help these up and coming YouTubers, because it's great having the big content creators around. They're always going to be around. But there's kind of a new wave of people who want to come up now, who've got something different to offer. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy all the big content creators, don't get me wrong, really, but I've got so many favourites. My subscription box is enormous. So, it's nice to see some new content creators though, as well as the more established ones, because it gives you a choice. That's what a channel is for, it's for variety. Think of TV channels, ITV, BBC, Sky Television. There's a variety of choice, and your channel should be about variety. And you can try different things and just see what works and what doesn't work. So when you think got something which isn't so well received, take it on the chin and don't do it again, and just go with what is working, because there are things that will work really well on your channel and people will enjoy. So the video's come up to 27 minutes long now, and I've ranted on, and I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to get out. If you've stopped watching by now, I'm sorry. But again, if you're a small YouTuber and you're interested in things that will help you to get better and get you on the road to your first 1,000 subscribers, I don't want to concentrate on the monetization thing. That is it would be a bit shallow. It's not always about money. It's not about the money. It isn't about money. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about doing what you enjoy and do it for the love of what you want to do, whether it's technology, whether it's dog grooming. It could be anything you want. You could be, I don't know, an artistic, you could be artistically filming goldfish swimming around in their tank, what have you. You can make a YouTube channel out of anything, as long as you've got the passion and you can be unique and sell it to your audience. So that's me for today. I've got some bits to get now before I go home to bed. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy what you see, and I'll catch you guys later.